Welcome to the Embracing Joy podcast, everyone. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Dr. Vlad, and he is a board certified pediatrician with extensive experience in developmental care, particularly focusing on autism. And he's based in Staten Island, New York. He has a direct primary care pediatric practice, and he provides personalized holistic care to children with special needs. His approach emphasizes supportive partnership with families, and he incorporates the 6 pillars of health, which are sleep, nutrition, physical activity, relationships, coping skills, and environmental management in his practice, where he particularly focuses on children with autism. So that's so wonderful what you do, Dr. Vlad. So thank you for joining us. We're going to start with a quick warm up just to get you excited, but thank you for joining us, Dr. Vlad. All right.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. So this warm up, we're going to do a warm up game to see if we can get on the same page mentally. Okay. This game is called Convergence. Another name for it is called Mind Melt. And it's an improv warm up game where I'll say the first word that comes to mind and you'll say the first word that comes to mind. And we want to get to where we say the same word. So you say one word, I say another word. And then with those 2 words, we'll pick another word that has a relationship between the two. For example, if I say white, you say blue, our next word may be colors or flag or something that connects those 2 things together. And we want to keep it broad. Okay. All right. Let's play. Let's play. Let's play. Okay. So on the count of 3, tell me the first word that comes to your mind.
Rhinoceros.
Right. On the count of 3.
Oh, sorry. I have ADHD, so I blurt out answers.
No worries at all. No worries. It's welcome. Okay, so you ready? 1, 2, 3. Pin.
Rhinoceros.
Rhinoceros and pin. Okay, so rhinoceros and pin. What is another word that may bring those 2 words together? Okay, ready? Okay.
That's tough. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You got something? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Zoo.
Zoo.
Oh, zoo. You really were thinking zoo? Or you said it after I said it?
I said it at the same time. I was thinking
Yeah,
zoo.
we said it
Well, you
pretty
know what
much.
we should do? We could write it down on a piece of paper, then pull out the paper.
And show it. Yeah, because there's a little bit of delay because of the Zoom, of course. So yeah.
All right.
But that's awesome. Okay. All right. So now that we're warmed up, we're in a playful, joyful mood, we can discuss some very important topics with Dr. Vlad, especially when it comes to caring for kids with autism and finding joy in his profession, and also increasing the joy in the parents of kids with autism and also the kids that have autism. So let's discuss this a little further. So, Dr. Vlad, what inspired you to establish a direct primary care pediatric practice? It's not very common. Most practices are insurance based. So, tell us more about what made you decide to do things differently.
Yes, you're 100% correct. It's not very common.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very easy to establish. There's not much of a precedent. Many practices who have gone before me, particularly in this lovely Northeast United States, where we have a particular mindset in regards to how we have traditionally gotten healthcare and how we're accustomed to seeing our doctors. But for me, the reason that I wanted to establish a direct primary practice was because I was having a very clear moral injury, and at odds, I was not able to truly feel joyful
Mm-hmm.
because I, like everyone else, want to live a virtuous life, we would hope, or what we define as being virtuous. And part of the definition of living a virtuous life is to help people to the best of
Mhm,
my capabilities.
mhm,
And when you work in an insurance-based practice, you're not able to help people to the best of your ability. You're only able to help people to the best of whatever the restraints put upon you are to help those individuals. Now,
mhm,
with direct primary care practice, I'm able to do more of the appropriate type of evaluation, support, fun, uh, take more time with families, have children
mhm,
feel more comfortable, be
mhm.
more personalized with the type of care that I deliver, and feel like I'm actually helping families to accomplish what they set out to do, and that is to get the best care for their child. So that is what led me to down the direct primary care track. And then once I started doing it 3 years ago, I realized that the families who were most responsive, who benefited the most from the type of care that I was offering, were families with children on the autism spectrum. Because in addition to how difficult it can be to raise a child in general, adding autism into the mix increases the level of challenge, but it's also so much more rewarding helping those children to overcome their difficulties and just peeling back the layers and allowing them to express the wonderful and amazing and unique human that they are on the inside. I tell families I don't really want to pull your child into our world. I'd rather have a way for us to gently enter into theirs and see the beautiful perspective that they have on the world and learn more from them.
I love that perspective that you have. It just like it's such a unique, well, it's a unique perspective, but it's such a heartfelt perspective that because you are generally caring about the differences, because there's so much differences in children, but especially children with autism because of the behavioral differences or, the neural processing, how their brain functions may be different and how we see them may be different. It is different, but going into their world and meeting them where they are so that their difference is normal to them, right? So they may be acting different to us, but how their behavior is normal to themselves, and kind of encouraging you to see it their way because they may have things to say or things to show through their eyes. So I love that you have that perspective and that you were able to change the way you practiced, going from the insurance model to a model that brought more joy to your life because you were able to function in a way that met with your core values, which was to spend more time and to help your patients in a way that was more meaningful, and you had more time to spend with those families. So I really love that story that you have. Tell me about your different approach that you have to pediatrics. You mentioned that you have more of a holistic approach to pediatrics where you do touch on many different pillars.
Absolutely, yes. I'm going to answer that question happily and fully. However, I just want to go back to a point that you mentioned because it really struck a chord with me in talking about differences in children with autism or children with special needs. You know something, when you look at humanity, right, the rates of autism as they were last measured were around 1 in every 36 children are
Mhm,
diagnosed with autism. So the question that a lot of people have brought up, and I have thought this question myself, is we've seen throughout history individuals like Albert Einstein, Michelangelo, Temple Grandin, who have seen the world from a different perspective
mhm,
because they were on the autism spectrum and they were
mhm,
able to use that unique perspective to create and invent things like GPS,
mhm,
like the patents that Temple Grandin had with animal husbandry, and many more examples throughout history of those kind of understandings that have helped to shape our world. So I tell people like, well, I understand that there are challenging behaviors that can come associated with autism, but think about it this way. There's also a superpower that comes with having autism, in that there is less concern about what other people think about you from a very deep and intrinsic place, which is one of the keys of true joy. If we're
mhm,
most people who are neurotypical care a lot, whether they admit it or not. They care a lot about what other people think. Our
Mhm.
brain automatically defaults to the default mode network, thinking of our social circumstances. And I wonder what X, Y, and Z, or so and so, my social circle thinks about me or thinks about it. Perfect example, you look at a place like Facebook and Instagram. All of
Mhm.
that is, hey, look at the life I'm living. Give me your thoughts and feedback, and envy me and look at my wonderful life. This is
Mhm.
just a part of human nature. But
Mhm.
the individuals on the autism spectrum, they are more connected to their true passion and purpose and things that they're focused on in life, because not in all cases, but in many cases, they don't couldn't care less about what people think about them because they're too busy being happy. So now my holistic approach to working with them. So
Oh, yeah,
just
take your time.
what's that?
Yeah, I said no, we can go further in what, before the question, but that's fine. No, but
Um,
I definitely see that, you know, a benefit from not being concerned to an overextent about what people think of you. Definitely. And people can easily steal your joy that way because you're just concerned about what other people think and not what makes you happy, right, in society. So I like that you brought that up. Yeah. So tell us more about your approach and how you address these families.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the word holistic, I think, has been hijacked by an
Mhm,
industry that sells a lot of snake oil. They say, we've got this lovely holistic miracle herb that will transform your life into all the happiness that you'll ever need. That's BS. It's all nonsense. I'm a very flat, down to earth, realistic person. And I tell families the word holistic, what it means to me is the relationship between our mind and our body.
mhm,
Science has shown us over and over and over again that your mind will impact your body. We in medicine we call it the placebo effect. If you
mhm,
believe you are taking a medication, all of a sudden you have become healthier believing it, even though the medication doesn't really do anything. It was a placebo. There is also the nocebo effect, where if you believe you're taking something, you get an adverse reaction to it, even though it should not be causing any reaction in you whatsoever, just because you believe it. And on top of all that, one thing that blows my mind when I read the research is that you can tell people we are giving you the placebo, it should not work. They say, okay, fine, I'm taking the, they know it's a placebo, they're not being tricked. And they still get better knowing it's a placebo. So the power of the mind is unquestionably extremely influential on our bodies and on our health, to the extent where just through belief, we can affect things like our blood pressure, we can affect lab values such as our white blood cell count and our C-reactive protein count. We have seen these things happen in history and in the medical record. So this is well documented. This is not something that I just came with on the cuff today. So since we know that there is a relationship between our minds and our bodies, it is
mhm,
incumbent on us to handle both of them as being equally important to achieve optimal health, because you can take an extremely um, wealthy person who is on their deathbed and they would all the wealth in the world for more time alive on this earth and for more health, because time and health are two priceless commodities. That if I told you I'll give you $1 million tomorrow, but I have to stab you in the eyeball and take your eyeball out, you everyone will say, of course not. That's my health. That's my eyeball. I want two eyeballs. I don't just want one. I want that
mhm,
beautiful stereoscopic vision
mhm.
I'm getting right now.
Okay.
So that's just an example for people to help us
Yeah.
reconnect with how valuable we find our health. So the 6 pillars of health that I focus on to help people adequately maintain their health for their children and for their families, as you had mentioned before. For nutrition, we have a whole food plant-based diet is what I often recommend to families. We have physical activity because our bodies were meant to move, and by not moving, we uh, go into a vicious cycle of both poor mental and physical health. Then
Mhm,
we have the importance of adequate sleep to recharge and regenerate our mind and bodies. Then we have our ability to manage and deal with the daily stress that everyone has, no matter who you are, unless you are in the graveyard. Those people don't have any more stress because they're no longer with us. Then we have our ability to have positive relationships with others, and
Mm-hmm.
relationships, just like a living plant, is something that requires nurturing and
Mm-hmm.
care and tending to. Can't just
Mm-hmm.
leave it there and hope it'll be a non-perishable Oreo cookie or whatever. Then we have our final one is environmental toxins. So I'm talking about things like noise pollution, unpure water, unpure air, and those toxic people that are around us, bringing us down. We know
Mm-hmm.
anytime we want to tell them about the wonderful things we are doing, they will poo-poo it on us. And because we are constantly worried about other people's thoughts, we feel a little bit down ourselves with those toxic relationships. So I go and address all six of them. I don't bombard my patients with all six things at once all the time. That would be overwhelming. That would not be fun. So I ask them in a very nice and polite way, Mom, Dad, of these six, which of these would you like to discuss today during our visit? And we go forward because with DPC we have a long-term relationship with one another, and we have a very close and personal relationship. We're able to take one topic and stretch it out and continue with it. I find it's ridiculous to expect in the insurance model that you can have someone living their life, doing their habits, doing their thing for 365 days a year. And then in a 15-minute visit, they expect you to all of a sudden flip their life upside down and make them better. No, 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 that's not how it works. And I tell them that's true.
Mhm. That's great. So, our last few questions are wrap up questions that we have. So, who would you say is a model for joy in your life and why?
My grandmother is a great model for joy in my life because she always talks about the importance of love and kindness for other people, how the best way to get joy for yourself is by dishing it out to others to help other people live their best life. It always comes back to you tenfold. And she's always the kind of person that has amazing coping skills. She's gone through a lot of difficult times in her life, always walking around with a smile. You never know the kind of scars and pains that she carries on the inside. And I try to be the same way about my life and the way that I walk around.
Mhm. That's a wonderful tribute to your grandmother. So, tell us, if you were baking a cake of joy, what are the top three ingredients?
Okay, that's an excellent question. The top three ingredients for my cake of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it would be what we mentioned earlier, focusing on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to erase joy from anyone's life this very second, I encourage you to go and visit social media and to look at how all your friends and family are in their life. That sense of comparison will automatically take your joy away. So that first thing is to focus on your life as a one-person race. So understanding that concept that your life is a one-person race, it's not about competing with anyone around you. You live running your own race. That's the first ingredient to joy. Number two
Mm-hmm.
is memento mori, is to remember that we all have a limited time on this earth. We will
Mm-hmm.
all one day be passing on to whatever anyone believes in the afterlife will be, but we will no longer be in this form. So, keeping in mind that our time is short, to try to not take things so personally, to not delay on things that we want to accomplish or appreciate, but live through that perspective of the brevity of life. And the third key ingredient to joy is, of course, service above self, right? You want to, in any decision that you make, in any um, uh, contemplation that you have in life, or you're not sure what the next right step will lead you to the most sustained, long lasting joy,
Mm-hmm.
you think, okay, well, what is it I can do to serve? Because
Mm-hmm.
my purpose in life is to find my purpose in life, to find how I can serve others. So those three ingredients. It's a one person race. Life is short. Enjoy it and
Be in service.
yourself.
Love it. Love it. So that's a wonderful cake of joy. So, how can our listeners contact you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me is to first visit my clinic website at the boy DPC, direct primary care, so dpc.com. And the name of my clinic is Barayev Pediatrics. And of course, to check out and leave a comment in my lovely YouTube channel where
Mhm.
I discuss different aspects of raising a child with autism
Mhm.
and um, medical information and medical updates and common questions that I get from families about their children with autism.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It was wonderful having you, Dr. Vlad. Have a great day. And thank you for all the wisdom that you've shared with all of our listeners today.
Oh, it was a true pleasure. I
Mhm.
hope that I have contributed a small piece to the beautiful universe of joy that you are building.
Mhm.
For we are only a small third planet from one star in the entire solar system and universe, but I feel absolutely blissful and joyful having spent this time speaking to you about the work that I do in my.
Thank you.